in Behemoth. And for the first time ever, it's 25% off. Over 1,100 people have already rated this 4.59 out of 5 stars, with 91% of the audience giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. Feel and sense the world around you using your supernatural strength and innovative bone-breaking ways as you punch, hack, block, and smash away with brutal violence and barbaric fashion in order to maim and decimate your enemies. This bold, brand new dark fantasy adventure places you in the role of Ren, a lone hunter on a perilous quest to end the rot curse running through your veins and plaguing your own village. The only cure that will save everyone is to slay the gods that roam the realms of the dangerous Forsaken Lands. You'll need to hone every skill in your arsenal to battle these gargantuan gods in this dangerous, ancient world in 4K HDR OLED awesomeness. I will have to get my hands on this sooner than later, as I'm only hearing epic things about it.
This is starting to freak me out!
We have to regroup! Get back together right now! It's hunting us! No! What happened? What happened?
Phasmophobia is a 4-player online co-op psychological horror game, and it's 25% off. Almost 14,000 people have rated this 4.7 out of 5 stars, with 93% giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. I'm trying so hard not to watch or hear any of this, as I do plan on picking this up to play online co-op with the wife, using that digital game sharing feature, so it's really hard to speak to this right now from personal experience, but you and your team of personal investigators will enter haunted locations filled with paranormal activity and try to gather as much evidence as you can. Use your ghost hunting equipment to find and record evidence to sell on to a ghost removal team. In this game, you'll identify over 20 different ghost types, each with unique traits, personalities, and abilities to make each investigation feel different from the last. Using well-known ghost hunting equipment such as EMF readers, spirit boxes, thermometers, and night vision cameras. With 5 difficulties to choose from, along with daily and weekly challenges, there are plenty of ways to test your skills. Now, if you want to play it safe, you can support your team from the truck by monitoring the investigation with CCTV and motion sensors. And I believe the game can be played cooperatively with flat screen players as well. And it includes crossplay support, making this even more engaging with a broader audience. It also touts you can create your own game modes to suit your group's needs. Interesting. That said, I'm sold, and I'm looking forward to showing you guys how this all goes down, hopefully in the next few weeks.
Here we go.
But the next horror game is a must-have for the PS VR2, and I'm talking about Resident Evil 4 Gold Edition at 40% off currently. And just to speak to how popular Resident Evil 4 is, over 86,000 people have rated this 4.76 out of 5 stars, with 93% giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. Incredible. And when you do go to buy this game, I do have to say this because a lot of you didn't know that you do not have the VR mode built into the game right away. So when you go to Resident Evil 4 on the PlayStation Store, just go down all the way to the bottom where you see add-ons, and you're going to see the Resident Evil 4 VR mode there. Click that, download it, install it, then load your game. That way you can play in VR and use your PSVR2 Sense controllers. Otherwise, it defaults you to the large-ass cinematic screen and you're using your DualSense controller, and a lot of people didn't know that. That's not the VR mode. That said, when you do go to play this in the VR mode and you did just grab this gold edition, there are a lot of DLC extras here that you cannot use in VR. And the first one being the most important here, this is called Separate Ways. This is a side story with Ada Wong. Over 400 people have rated it 4.81 out of 5 stars, with 95% of the audience giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. Before any US agent had even set foot in the Cursed Village, she was there. Her mission? The retrieval of the cult's darkest secret, the Amber. Separate Ways, the missing link in the main story, is a thrilling survival horror adventure starring Ada Wong. See the other side of the story from her eyes as her mission and fate intertwines with Leon Kennedy's a second time. And the other thing that's included with the base game, not in the gold edition, it doesn't come with it obviously, but in the base game you do get Resident Evil 4 The Mercenaries. 335 people have rated this 4.36 out of 5 stars, with 80% of the audience giving it 4 or 5 out of 5. And this game mode is all about racing against the clock and battling your way to the top of the leaderboards. Even though those two game modes are not in VR, I do feel compelled to tell everybody, because if you are getting these gold editions, you need to know exactly what you're getting here. And speaking of which, the next big one is the Resident Evil 4 Extra DLC pack. This one comes with a slew of items here, and I'm going to go over each one so you know what works in VR and what doesn't. The first one here is Leon's sunglasses, and I thought they were just an aesthetic where you see it on the actual person in game, but no, it actually does affect gameplay. I did not know this, so props to Percy for letting us know that. In Resident Evil 4, the sunglasses make you immune to flashbangs. I never would have thought of that. And in the PlayStation Store description, you can see here, it talks about protecting your baby blues from the sun and other pesky monsters with these sunglasses. It could help you with other things that I'm totally unaware of. Again, anyone in the comments section, please pipe in, let me know if I'm missing anything. That'd be awesome. And in order to actually put these sunglasses on, you do go to the pause menu in the extra section there. That's where you can actually change up your stuff. And it does say right here that the sunglasses can be used in both the main game and the Separate Ways DLC. But remember, the Separate Ways DLC is not in VR. And the next thing you're getting here is the Sentinel 9. I love using pistols. I didn't look at the actual description before, and it says it's a fully customized handgun for tackling bioterrorism. You know, that means nothing to me other than it boasts both accuracy and versatility, making it the reliable choice. Anyone in the comments section, if you can speak to this, do you feel an actual gameplay difference by using this pistol over the default one we have in the game here? And in order to access this, it says deluxe weapons can be claimed from the storage menu at the typewriter, the save point there. But unlike the sunglasses, this can be used in the main game, but not the Separate Ways DLC. And just like the pistol, same idea here, you're getting another version of the shotgun called the Skull Shaker. And quite simply, it does say it's a sawed-off stock and barrel, so you are allowing for excellent maneuverability and handling. Again, anyone in the comments section, if you've been playing with both shotguns, can you let us know whether or not that's actually a gameplay difference? And same idea here, again, all deluxe weapons you do have to claim at the typewriter, but this can only be used in the main game and not the Separate Ways DLC. And when it comes to the costumes, you're getting a casual set for both Leon and Ashley, but unlike the pistol and the shotgun, you can use the costumes in the main game and the Separate Ways DLC. And all you have to do to access that, you just hit the pause button and go into the extras menu, and you'll see all your costumes in there. And the next one that you're getting here is the romantic set for both Leon and Ashley. Same idea, just go in the extras, change it up. Of course, all costumes can be used in both the main game and the Separate Ways DLC, but this costume and filter, the costume can be used, again, just like the other ones, in the main game and the Separate Ways, but the filter is not VR compatible. When it comes to the filter, that's a 2D flat screen experience, and what you're seeing here, this is an actual image of the before and after. So personally, when I'm seeing this, it looks really washed out. I'd rather just the original look altogether. And the next costume and filter they're offering, same idea, you can only use the costume. Again, you're getting the villain version, which quickly showing you here, this is the actual filter, and I feel like it looks kind of red and orangey. It doesn't look as good as the original version, so I'm not too sure. Maybe I'm not seeing it on my screen, but yeah, I can't recommend any of this stuff, to be honest with you. But the one thing that does sound really cool to me is the original soundtrack swap. I did not play this game back in the day in 2004 or whenever it was on the PS2, I can't remember. But for those of you that have and have this nostalgic attachment to it, it's so cool. They can just go into your extras menu and then switch that to the original soundtrack, and I believe all of the action sounds, like the guns and sound effects and everything. So that's really neat. But that said, you can only use this in the main game for Resident Evil 4. It does not work in the Separate Ways DLC. You're also getting a treasure map expansion, which the game does include a treasure map to begin with. This simply just adds more treasures to the existing map and some additional treasures that weren't in the game to begin with. And you can simply confirm that by looking at your original map once you've installed this stuff. And this expansion only works for the main game of Resident Evil 4, not for the Separate Ways DLC. However, you can use the items that you've accumulated in the main game from the treasure map and bring them over to Separate Ways. So that's cool. But yeah, that's what they're saying here in the official PlayStation Store description. And for those of you that are still on the fence as to whether or not this game is for you, I highly recommend that you get the gameplay demo on the PlayStation Store right now. And yet another absolute must-have for every PSVR2 owner, Resident Evil Village is currently 60% off. With almost 34,000 people, it scored 4.69 out of 5 stars with 92% of the audience giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. Incredible. And just like Resident Evil 4, the game doesn't have that VR mode built into it, so you do have to find Resident Evil Village on the PlayStation Store. Go all the way down until you see add-ons. You're going to see the free VR mode there. Click that, download it, install it. Otherwise, it goes to a large cinematic screen and you're using your DualSense controller. It's in 2D mode, so you do need that VR mode literally downloaded, installed before you load the game to actually experience this in awesome full VR. And what's cool is that this standard edition is all you need to play this AAA PSVR2 exclusive in that full VR mode, and it's what I highly recommend for everyone to have in their library. Whether you're into the horror genre or not, and trust me, I am not whatsoever, this game is an excellent showcase of how the PSVR2 can transform an already incredible game and shoot it straight into the next generation. Seriously, you're now inside the beautiful world at life size with no compromise. If anything, you have only more ways to unleash your actual abilities, such as dual wielding weapons while running in room scale VR, blocking incoming attacks, manually reloading during intense combat, and then opening your trench coat to use your flashlight. Awesome. And again, just to reiterate, you do not need anything else but this standard edition to enjoy that full VR awesomeness. However, there are some extra DLC items that you can get on sale, but only some of them work in VR. And I'm going to go over really quick what works and what doesn't work in VR. Now, the one thing that is available for you to use in VR, this is the Survival Resources Pack, and it's 25% off. With that, you are getting some handgun ammo, shotgun ammo, a first aid med pack, and a lockpick. And the other item that you can use in VR, this is the Mr. Raccoon weapon charm, and it's 25% off, and this is simply just an aesthetic charm that hangs off of two shotguns, the M1897 and the W870 TAC shotgun. I think that's how you pronounce them. Next, we have a weird one. This is the Extra Shop All Access voucher, and it's 60% off. That said, this is not available in VR. I have no idea why. I've not used any of the actual DLC in either of the Resident Evil games here. And on the PlayStation Store description, it just says that it unlocks all rewards in the extra content shop. But again, this does not work in VR, just saying. Next, we do have a bundle of items that do have a few things that will work in VR. This is the Trauma Pack, and it's 25% off. And with that, it does include the Samurai Edge AW Model 01, and that is available in VR, as well as the Resident Evil 7 found footage filter, and that is not available in VR, as that's for the flat screen experience only. You're getting the Resident Evil 7 tape recorder save point. Unfortunately, that is not in VR. You're getting Safer Music Go Tell Aunt Rhody, that is in VR, as well as the Mr. Everywhere weapon charm, that is in VR as well. And with this Trauma Pack, you'll immediately unlock the Village of Shadows difficulty. And I do not know whether or not that Village of Shadows difficulty is available in VR. Anybody in the comments section, if you've played this, please let us know whether or not we can do this in VR. If not, I'm gonna have to check it out sooner than later and let everybody know. You're also getting the Tragedy of Ethan Winters artwork and the Baker Incident Report, which are not available in VR. But the most important DLC for all the hardcore Resident Evil fans, this is the Winter's Expansion, and it's 50% off, and there are 3 main modes to this game, and they're not available in VR, unfortunately. The first one is the ability to play the game in third-person mode. This is the classic Resident Evil 4, where you're seeing yourself in third person, but man, I gotta say, if you're a huge fan of the Resident Evil series, you probably will want to check this out. As well, this includes the Mercenaries additional orders, and just like the Resident Evil 4, this is a separate minigame where it's all about your skills in these time-based challenges. But unlike Resident Evil 4, this one includes 3 new characters, including the towering Lady Dimitrescu, as well as Heisenberg from what I'm seeing here in the trailer. I do not know that third one. Anyone in the comments section, if you want to let us know, that'd be great. But the most significant part of this DLC is called Shadows of Rose, and this is a new scenario starring the grown-up Rose, Ethan's beloved daughter, who was kidnapped as a baby, that kicked off the original Village story. And just showing you real quick the rating that this actual DLC received, I am assuming that is the Shadows of Rose DLC, that is that extra storyline plot. I do wish that was in VR, like Daughters on Resident Evil 7. Don't know why they didn't do that. That would have been really cool to play. And if you did get the Winter's Expansion, you may be interested to know that you can also get the Street Wolf outfit for Rose, and that's 25% off, but that said, it can only be used in that Winter's Expansion DLC, as it gives Rose a tougher look as she takes on enemies with this jacket, which features the logo of Chris Redfield's Hound Wolf Squad on the back. Interesting. And speaking of which, the next DLC is again not in VR, but I didn't even know this existed until I did these sales videos. In the base game, you do get for free Resident Evil Reverse. This is an online multiplayer game that you play against your friends where you're fighting each other as teams, then whoever dies, they spawn into these monsters and now they're attacking you. I've never played before, again, not in VR, will never play this. It even says in the description that the online service does not last forever, and at any time this game could go offline, so heads up. And for those of you that are still unsure whether or not Resident Evil Village VR is for you, you can check out the Resident Evil Village VR gameplay demo on the PlayStation Store for free right now. And the other 2 must-have Resident Evil games are currently bundled together. Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition and Village Gold Edition are 63% off. And that is including Resident Evil 7 Biohazard Gold Edition, all of the DLC that was included. Even though you cannot play any of this stuff on your PSVR 2, there is a rumor going around that this is going to be remastered for the PSVR 2. I can't confirm that for sure, but if you don't already own the game, this might be the time to actually get it. And unlike Resident Evil 4 and 8, Resident Evil 7 had most of the DLC available in VR, and they were excellent. I remember playing all of it. It was so amazing. Daughters was my absolute favorite, giving you the origin story of how Eve actually arrived at the Baker family. Almost 50,000 people have rated this bundle, 4.64 out of 5 stars, with 91% scoring this 4 or 5 out of 5. This is considered to be one of the best VR experiences ever, so you do not want to miss out. I personally think all the Resident Evil should be in your library if you own the PSVR 2, and I've never played anything Resident Evil up until the PSVR 1, just speaking to that. Don your gas mask, wield handmade weapons, and venture into the depths of this apocalyptic nightmare in Metro Awakening. And it's 25% off right now. Over 1,600 people have rated this 4.53 out of 5 stars, with 88% of the audience giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. Awesome. In the year 2028, the survivors of nuclear war cling to the existence in the buried subways of the Moscow Metro, which has become civilization's last refuge and tomb, where spirits haunt the living in this man-made purgatory. You are a doctor searching for your wife as you brave the crippling radiation, darkness, and deadly threats of the Metro, desperately trying to find the medication she needs. As your courage and sanity are pushed to the limit, you must learn to walk the line between life and death, the spiritual and the material world, and awaken the being you must become. I've only heard great things about this game, and I do know there was a major patch that fixed some lighting issues that were present at launch. Anyone in the comments that can speak to this, if you played it, loved it, or hate it, that would be awesome. Let us know whether or not there's anything we should expect, any wonkiness, or if this game's good to go.
We can solve this problem once and for all.
They're trying to make a vaccine. You want to come? Good dog, buddy!
Arizona Sunshine 2, the next-gen sequel to the fan-favorite VR Apocalypse, is currently 40% off right now. And with almost 2,400 people rating this, it scored 4.53 out of 5 stars, with 89% of the audience scoring this 4 or 5 out of 5. I gotta say, I did play the first one, beat it all the way through, thought the game was good, but man, after seeing the trailers for Arizona Sunshine 2, this does look like the full next-gen title that I've been waiting for. In a post-apocalyptic world where every bullet counts, experience the thrill of realistic combat as you wield all new and fan-favorite weapons. And what's really kick-ass, man, that I've been waiting to play this game, you can enjoy the full campaign in 2-player co-op mode. As well, you can join up to 3 other players in 4-player co-op Horde mode, and they've already released an abundance of maps for the actual Horde mode, so very cool, man. They put a lot of love and intention to this game and then included all this extra DLC. And what's better than braving the end of the world than surviving it with your new best friend, Buddy? Not only is Buddy your 4-legged companion through thick and thin, he's also the goodest boy and will help take down those pesky Freds for you. And they really put a spotlight on this dog, man. There's even extra skins like an undead doggy and, you know, another breed of dog, the Corgi, altogether, which is really weird but looks really cool. Everyone in the past that's commented on this game whenever it's gone on sale has only said great things about this game, seriously. And again, if you have a friend to play with or friends to play with, only better from what I'm hearing. Now, if you want both Metro Awakening and Arizona Sunshine 2, you can get them bundled together at 25% off. And this bundle's rating is reflecting Metro Awakening score only. It's not incorporating Arizona Sunshine 2. And I do have to say, after calculating the numbers here, you are saving a few bucks if you do get this bundle over them individually on sale right now.
Good morning, Arizona. Hope you're all well. To all survivors of Sunshine Festival 2016.
That said, if you're like me and you had the PSVR 1 and you played the original, Arizona Sunshine Remake is currently 24% off right now. But if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you save 10% more, making it 34% off total. And over 5,500 people have rated this 4.07 out of 5 stars, with 78% of the audience giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. However, I am seeing 11% giving this 1 out of 5 5 stars. And I just have to speak to this really quick. Arizona Sunshine on the PSVR 1. I did experience that co-op mode and I thought it was good. Again, good. That's the best way to describe it. But the mechanics were not polished like Farpoint. I am hoping that when I revisit this game, because there is an upgrade fee that you can pay instead of buying this game all the way out. I'm totally expecting the game to look as good as it is on the trailer. However, I'm hoping the actual mechanics, the gameplay, the controls are much better than what I remember on the PSVR 1. Just saying. What I didn't realize is that this remake actually offers all of the DLC from the first game. Very cool, man. Being honest, I don't think I played any of the DLC. I just played the original campaign all the way through with my friend and I was kind of done with it after that. So, and of course they've kept that intact. You can play the original campaign in co-op mode on Arizona Sunshine Remake, as well as the 4-player Horde mode, and I do believe that was already available on the PSVR 1, so nothing different there from what I remember. And then they are claiming to have taken the Arizona Sunshine 2 mutilation and gore system and bringing it into Arizona Sunshine Remake. So that's really cool. As well, I feel it's very important to mention that Arizona Sunshine, if you didn't know, the original game did receive Best VR Game of the Year by Upload VR in 2016, Best Virtual Reality Game of 2017 by Dutch Game Awards, and Best HTC Vive First Person Shooter in 2016 by the Vive Awards. And I gotta say, I'm really surprised, being honest, after playing Farpoint again, and then jumping into Arizona Sunshine, that didn't win the award over this. And just to remind you again, if you do own the game on the PSVR 1, do pay that upgrade fee before buying this on sale at that sale price. And the other most amazing multiplayer game everyone else needs to get, this is After the Fall Complete Edition, and it's 60% off right now. But if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you save 10% more, making it 70% off total. With over 1,100 people rating this 3.94 out of 5 stars, 72% of the audience gave this 4 or 5 out of 5. And all that Complete Edition is, it's the PSVR 1 game revamped with 3 DLC that was released for it.
Let's go.
That said, I did just play this expecting to play it for maybe half an hour, thinking this is a PSVR 1 game, it's going to be revamped, it's going to be okay, I'll get bored with it within half an hour. And no, man, right when loading the game, you know, I was taken back knowing this is a PSVR 1 game, but they did just upgrade the whole thing, and it does look like a hybrid of PSVR 1 and PSVR 2 graphics. Like, it's got that clarity with this dynamic lighting and all these particle effects, and it looks really good. I mean, like, really good. If you didn't know, this game actually does have a free upgrade, so if you did buy this back in the day, man, you are going to want to pop this in and play this again for sure. Unlike the PSVR 1, this does include the PSVR2 Sense haptics. You do feel that difference. Even when I'm rolling over an icon to selecting an object, you know, I do feel that special haptic sensation. The adaptive triggers immediately noticeable, even with the guns to using a light gun on an arcade display cabinet there. The headset haptics, you know, were immediately evident when I got hit in the head. The touch sensitivity was there right when I loaded the game. I could see all my fingers curling. The only one that didn't was the actual trigger finger. That's it. But I mean, come on. That snow slush actually looks really good. It has depth, has transparency, and it has that 3-dimensional effect to it. Like, it looks like frozen water that's just about to become a puddle of water. And as I'm sitting there getting a feel for the lobby, I'm hearing the music and I'm like, wow, this reminds me of Stranger Things. And then it dawns on me that this tech all around me is from the 80s. What a wicked aesthetic to everything. And then the soundtrack. So it is like the apocalypse happened in the late 80s or early 90s. And all that tech is still remaining there as you're exploring everything. Again, what I didn't expect is they throw you into the game and then I'm walking around and I realized, oh, wait a sec, I'm in a giant lobby of people. They're walking around with me in this like giant arcade. I totally dig how they incorporated the lobby within the game instead of me feeling like I'm jumping into a multiplayer mode. You know, the game just has me in the lobby, but it doesn't feel like a lobby, if that makes sense. Again, what I didn't expect is, aside from the fun factor of playing the game, I got to play with 3 AI friends. I didn't want to jump in with anybody because I didn't want to screw with their game. Got a feel for everything, and the run itself, just what they call a harvest run. You're going out and you're trying to defeat as many zombies as possible, get as many points by defeating them. You see these little glowing orbs, roll over, just simply walk over it, collect it. After you've done a section of the game, you get to a safe house where you can recharge, use some of that currency you earn to buy boosters or health or whatever, but you're trying to keep as much of that as possible, so when you're done like 3 sections of that run, you return home and then you can upgrade your weapons to either new guns or new add-ons to the guns. And that whole section in that lobby is awesome, where you go in and you adjust your gun. Again, the whole theme, the whole aesthetic really did take me back. I wasn't expecting it to be so well done. And again, I do have to admit, I see this game on sale all the time. This is the best price at 70% off. So knowing this game is really cheap pretty much on the regular, and I'm getting such a top tiered experience here. But that free upgrade is only available to anyone that purchased this game before the launch of the PSVR2. So if you do have the disc version on PS4, you can contact Vertigo directly, show them a proof of purchase, and they will honor it and give you that free digital upgrade. But yeah, unfortunately, anyone that did buy this after the launch of the PSVR2, they will not honor it. It's only for those that did own this before the PSVR2 launch, just as a heads up.
My honored guests, welcome to my house. This house has its own rules, and it can be a cruel mistress. Yet solve its mystery, and you obtain your heart's deepest desire.
Experience one of the best murder mystery video games ever created in The Seventh Guest VR, and it's 40% off. But if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you save 10% more, making it 50% off total. Over 700 people have rated this, 4.68 out of 5 stars, with 93% of the audience giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. The classic game that chilled you to the bone in the 90s has been brought back with cutting-edge VR technology that delivers an atmospheric story like no other. As you explore the eerie mansion, the puzzles become increasingly challenging. Unlock new rooms and uncover hidden secrets, all while trying to keep your wits about you against the eerie horrors. The Seventh Guest VR is the ultimate adventure for fans of mystery puzzle games and those seeking a new and terrifying VR experience. I never played the game back in the 90s on the PC CD-ROM, but I am excited to let you know I was able to buy this last time it was on sale at this exact sale price, and can tell you right away, if you're into the environmental puzzle-based games where you're just thrown into the game and have to figure things out, then you will absolutely love this game. And unlike so many puzzle games I played before, this immediately felt completely unique and stumped me pretty hard right from the get-go, but not too challenging to keep me away. The theme, the music, sound effects, character development, and acting are superbly done here. Even though I feel the game is fantastic so far, I still need to finish it before I can give you my PlayStation Store rating. The only negative that I've experienced and stands out to me is that there is no option to decouple your head from your body, which means your head turns your body, and that isn't ideal for room scale VR. But don't get me wrong, this isn't game breaking at all for a game like this. I love how I'm thrown into this beautiful mansion with nothing but a lantern. And what's really cool is that when you use that lantern to illuminate an area, it actually shows you what that spot looked like in the past when those guests were actually there. So cool to see that everywhere, seriously. Again, even though I've only put in a couple of hours into this so far, the very first room with the very first puzzle was just awesome. Don't worry though, you can refer to your map for help, and you can also choose to get a hint as to how to solve the puzzle if it gets too frustrating. Thankfully, it doesn't happen automatically, as I do hate puzzle spoilers, and you do have the option to access that in your menu. So far, so great.
Hellsweeper.
Feel like a Sith Lord in the most incredible VR combat game I've ever experienced. This is Hellsweeper VR, and it's 40% off. But if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you save 10% more, making it 50% off total. Over 620 people have rated this, 4.31 out of 5 stars, with 83% of the audience giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. And this has got to be the most incredibly complicated, awesome combat system I've ever played in any video game whatsoever. Quite literally, the more time that you put into this game, the more options you choose and play with, the more that this becomes an extension of your body. Legit, it took me about 5 or 6 hours of playing around just to get the actual controls that I wanted for this game, and it was well worth it. I legit now feel like John Wick in VR. It's incredible. And just to speak to this, I've literally put in approximately 30 hours into this game, and I've hardly scratched the surface. I keep sticking to the same weapons and guns and stuff because I'm still ranking them up. I'm still progressing in the game. And then there's a whole slew of other weapons that totally transform the entire game experience, literally, that I've yet to unlock and touch. And then there's the actual co-op mode where you can play with a friend and then combine your weapons and powers at the same time. Every time time this game's on sale, I keep trying to show everybody how this is the most incredible combat system in any game I've ever played before. I keep telling people this is for the VR veteran. What I mean by that is you're not going to get motion sick. It's just that there's so many options to play this game. And the actual default controls, man, I totally hated. You know, jumping into the game right away. Had I just stuck with that, I would not have been playing with it more than for half an hour to an hour. And then they just released this Resurgence update that includes the original chick from Sariento from the first PSVR, and man, I loved that game, so much so that I platinumed it, and that is one of the hardest games on PSVR1, just saying. But it's not difficult once you become accustomed to the controls. That's all it is. That's what I'm hammering in here, guys. Man, you can actually have the John Wick experience in VR if you just play with your settings. I had to go through the entire thing, comb through every section, and completely change everything, and I'm so happy that I did. And the most recent update, Alliance, now allows up to 3 players to play together in co-op as well. This also includes a new game mode called Gauntlet with a brand new boss to conquer, as well as a brand new night and day mechanic that alters the balance of foes and rewards, along with a slew of other goodies. I am gonna have to make a video for you guys, but do grab this game at 50% off, hands down. It is so worth that. I mean, again, at least 30 hours for me right now, and I'm gonna put another 30 if not more.
This is No Man's Sky version 5.5.
Set out on an epic science fiction adventure like no other in No Man's Sky, and it's 60% off. Over 97,000 people have rated this 3.91 out of 5 stars, with 72% giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. But 17% have given this 1 star. And I attribute that 1 star to the worst launch in video game history, disappointing everyone. But since 2016, they've released 29 major updates. And I do have to say, this game is not for everybody in the sense that it is so overwhelming right from the get-go, no joke. It is one of the best survival games ever made. You literally begin on some random planet having to actually repair your ship, that way you can leave the planet and then start figuring everything out from there, and they take you step by step through everything. But in the very beginning, the first few years, there really wasn't much to it, just exploring, mining, you know, collecting resources, building some stuff, and then they included bases and whatnot. But then they just kept growing the game with all of these massive updates, as you're seeing right here. And after playing this for what, 6-7 years, they had this Echoes update that was built for the foveated rendering on PSVR2, and oh my, you know, I had to cover this like 2 videos literally showing everybody how different the game actually was just from this one update.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, that's amazing.
And it feels like just a month ago they released the Worlds Part 1 update, which completely transformed the entire game yet again. But it was just a few days ago they released the other significant update called Worlds Part 2, making this game even bigger and better than ever before. Across the entire universe, they've added billions of new solar systems and trillions of new planets, introducing new biomes and terrains to the already awesome environment without changing what people already loved about the game. Speaking of which, the terrain is even more detailed and far more varied, including huge mountains with massive features. Gas giants have finally been included and are truly epic at 10 times larger than the biggest planet No Man's Sky has ever seen. It's truly sort of endgame stuff to explore, with huge storms raging across the surfaces. The new tech implemented now allows oceans to be several kilometers deep, with an all-new lighting system that makes them completely different, and the deeper that you explore, the darker it gets. Amazing. Every element of the lighting has been rewritten, with shadows showing more detail, light now flickers through the leaves, caves now feel dark and immersive, oceans now reflect the clouds and the stars to create these beautiful sunsets and night skies. Water reacts physically to the world around it, with creatures now wading through it. Large waves are created as ships fly overhead, with water rippling realistically. And with all of these substantial upgrades to the game, there's also a ton of new gameplay, with a huge quest that ties together some of the strands that the developers have been building upon for years now. As well, a new expedition has been launched that takes you on a tour of all the new worlds they're building, along with some incredible rewards. This is the game that genuinely keeps on giving, while setting the bar in the video game industry for how passionate developers can take their game from 9 years ago to something something as stellar today. And that is just scratching the surface of what this offers. Again, this is the latest update. I haven't touched upon all of the major updates that have happened since the beginning of the game. If you've never played No Man's Sky and you've only watched or heard other people talk about this on the PSVR 2, you're going to be blown away. And if you're into sci-fi in any shape whatsoever, Star Trek, all that stuff, this is a dream come true. And if you have friends to play with, oh my, I think you can have up to 16 players play together on consoles and up to 32 players on PC. And with that latest crossplay support, they've been able to include everyone in this awesome experience. That said, in the past, I've always promoted people checking out these bargain bins or pawn shops to find a disc version for like 10 bucks. But what I didn't realize is that with that disc, you cannot game share, meaning that if you have two PSVR 2s like I just got, you will not be able to game share. That is, again, the major benefit of owning a digital library, is that you can game share with another family member in the same household if they have a second PS5.
You gotta bleed for this if you want to be the best. Let's find out what you're made of.
Step into the ring and immerse yourself in the pulse-pounding excitement of cinematic boxing with Creed Rise to Glory Championship Deluxe Edition. And it's 40% off right now. But if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you save 10% more, making it 50% off total. Over 1,400 people have rated this 3.86 out of 5 stars, with 72% of the audience giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. For me on the PSVR 1, it was incredible to play anything like that, to be able to stand on the spot, duck, dodge, weave, punch, uppercut, and hit with accuracy. Actually get a full-fledged workout just being in the gym, not even boxing somebody online. The one takeaway I really disliked about the first one is you did have to use your hands like a speed bag to go forward and to go backwards. And I understand you didn't have any joysticks on the PSVR 1 to do that, so it was intuitive at the time. The fact that I can use these joysticks now moving backwards and still blocking and throwing punches, man, that sounds amazing. And to think this is 4K HDR OLED display, there is a substantial upgrade to this game. Speaking of which, you can pay the upgrade fee if you do own this on the PSVR 1, and I do think it's a little cheaper than the actual sale price here. And for those of you that didn't know what this game was about, you literally are playing Creed from the movies and you're training with Rocky Balboa, literally having these training exercises in the gym, legit awesome exercises, and then based on your performance on your training, you'll have more stamina going into your next boxing fight. So it's not just sake of doing these practice runs, it's forcing you to do really well in your practice so you're actually better in your boxing match altogether, which is an awesome mechanic. Seriously, very cool. And it tires you out before you go to face the character next time, so it's crazy. It gets you to actually slow down. And unlike the PSVR 1, again, this does have cross-platform support, which is integral to, to have somebody to fight online. That was one of the big problems on PSVR 1. In order for me to get that platinum, I needed to beat somebody online, and it ended up being my wife. I will never forget, she was Mr. T, and she came at me like speed bag motion, standing there. It was the weirdest thing to see the avatar do this. I was crying, laughing on the ground. I couldn't throw punches because I literally was weak, feeble on the ground. I'm trying to get my platinum, and she was beating the crap out of me. I'm like, no, you have to let me win. Just let me get my platinum. Crazy. So yeah, I definitely need to have a rematch with her on the PSVR 2. So again, this does have the story mode, but it is claiming to have an expanded story inspired by Creed 3. So very cool. Of course, you can do the free play mode where you can just face whoever you want, wherever you want for fun. Fitness options where you crush personal health goals to set time and calorie targets, and then that cross-platform player versus player. Amazing. Even though the score is showing 3.88, I personally feel it's minimum of 4. I do think everyone who's even interested in boxing, you do need to get this game. It was awesome on PSVR 1. To know it's been totally upgraded for PSVR 2 enhanced, it's got to be a win for sure. With the Deluxe Edition, all you're getting are these glow costumes I'm showing you right here. It's a separate DLC. It says that it makes your trunks and your gloves glow, so it might be really neat in the 4K HDR. I don't think the aprons or any of the actual arena is glowing, but I'm not too sure. Immerse yourself in poetic storytelling as you explore new mind-bending VR mechanics in A Fisherman's Tale 2, and it's 40% off. But if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you save 10% more, making it 50% off total. 244 people have rated this 4.05 out of 5 stars, with 76% of the audience giving this 4 or 5 out of 5. And what makes this one unique is that you solve puzzles using your own body, detaching and controlling your limbs, and finding new attachments to progress throughout the game. And from everywhere I'm reading, the first one did win all these awards. The second one was good, but it wasn't as good as the first one. And for all of you that do not own part 1 and want both of the games, you can get the Fisherman's Tales bundle, and it's 50% off. But if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you save 10% more, making it 60% off total. And yes, back in the day, I have not played it on PSVR 2. It was a lot of fun on PSVR 1. It was a Russian doll-based environmental puzzle game where you're seeing yourself in the micro and macro version and having to work with yourself to solve the puzzles. So very cool concept back in the day. Loved it. But I have heard the second one is a lot of fun to play. It's just not as good as the first one was. Anyone in the comments section that has played both games, do you agree that the second one isn't as good as part 1 from what I'm reading? Embark on a perilous journey across the plague-ridden realm of Meloria in the Wizards Dark Times Brotherhood, and it's 60% off right now. 147 people have rated this 3.46 out of 5 stars, with 55% giving this 4 or 5 out of 5, but 22% gave this 1 star. In this game, you're going to forget about button combinations as you discover and master 11 individually designed spells of various uses and effects. Command the arcane powers with nothing but hand gestures as a true wizard does. This game features 3-player co-op where you forge a brotherhood with up to 2 fellow wizards and use your class-specific skills, Fire, Frost, and Storm, to battle new types of enemies and variants, plus explore the levels with new challenges. This is a remastered single-player adventure where a mysterious, dark plague has fallen on the realm of Meloria, twisting the inhabitants into beings of hatred and madness. And the last time this game was on sale, Corey mentions here that the game is fun, but the gesturing for spells is a little janky. The graphics aren't very good, and the game shuts down upon the first startup. So there's definitely something off here. Again, anyone in the comment section, if you owned it, loved it, or hate it, please speak to this in the comments. Let us know whether or not we should grab this at that awesome sale price. Project Wingman Frontline 59 is a flat screen game with 6 VR add-on missions, and it's 30% off right now. Over 1,700 people have rated this 2.68 out of 5 stars, with almost 50% of the audience giving this 1 out of 5 stars. Oof. But 31% did score this 5 out of 5. I do know there was like a huge fan base for Project Wingman, but from what I'm hearing, the graphics themselves are not that great. The actual fun factor isn't there for the 6 missions that they provide. It feels really short. But yeah, everyone everywhere has been talking about how let down they felt. Anyone in the comments section, if you've had a positive experience with this game, please pipe in. Let us know, because otherwise I'm just regurgitating what other people are talking about. I've never experienced this before. But many people have been consistently saying the same thing about this. And that is all of the games during this Critics' Choice sale until February 12th. If you guys liked the video I produced today, please click that like button. And if you love what I'm doing with the channel, please subscribe to it. And for all of you that have subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. I super appreciate it. Until the next one.